In the year 5897, after the collapse of the Fifth Galactic Era, ancient worlds clash beneath the ambitions of empires reborn threes. When a lone emissary crashes into a realm ruled by savage honor and untamed destiny, survival becomes more than a mission. It becomes a bond, written in blood and betrayal threes. On Velmora, loyalty is a blade, trust is a trap, and love is the deadliest gamble of all. Two souls from warring worlds will ignite a revolution none saw coming, or perish beneath the weight of secrets too dangerous to survive threes. Would you risk your heart to save an enemy you were sworn to distrust? The hunt has begun, and this time the prey may be the salvation threes. He crashed into her world threes. Now she'll kill anyone who tries to take him threes. Sirens wailed as Kalen Ward fought to maintain control of the rapidly descending diplomatic vessel. Blood trickled down his forehead as another blast rocked the ship, sending him sprawling. Mayday, Envoy Vessel Concord. We've sustained critical damage and are going down on Velmora threes. The transmission cut off abruptly threes. The planet loomed through the view screen, its purple-tinged atmosphere seeming to pull the crippled ship down threes. Velmora, a world of fierce warrior clans that had only reluctantly joined diplomatic talks with the Orion Concord. Computer rerouted emergency power to landing thrusters. Kalen commanded, his voice steady despite the chaos. Emergency power rerouted, warning hull integrity at 27% threes. The ship's safety protocols had failed, leaving Kalen with just manual controls to land a vessel never meant for planetary entry threes. He gripped the controls as the ship knifed through the atmosphere, metal screaming as it superheated. The impact came with a deafening crunch. Kalen's world dissolved into pain and darkness. Queen Soraka, crouched in the crimson underbrush, her silver-blue fur rippling in the breeze, her pointed ears twitched, detecting sounds no human could perceive threes. The hunting party behind her remained still, trusting their queen's instincts threes. Taurus. She spoke without turning her voice, carrying the melodic quality of the Caraxian royal bloodline. My queen, the broad-shouldered warrior, stepped forward, his russet fur darkened with ceremonial markings. Take half the party and circle west threes. Queen Soraka rose to her full height, nearly 7 feet tall, her bushy tail sweeping behind her. She moved like water, each step precise, yet flowing as she led her hunters toward the disturbance. The scent hit her first burning metal and strange chemicals, then came the visual gash, cut through the forest canopy, leaving broken trees and scorched earth. A ship growled, one of her hunters, not Caraxian design threes. Queen Soraka's lips curled back, revealing sharp canines, human threes. The diplomatic vessel lay half-buried in the forest floor, its once sleek design now twisted wreckage threes. Smoke billowed from the engines. The vessel bore the insignia of the Orion Concord, a human-led coalition that had been courting Caraxus for years threes. Search for survivors. Queen Soraka commanded, her clawed hand resting on her blade. Threes. If you find any, do not engage without my command. Threes. She approached the wreckage herself, ears laid back, nostrils flaring threes. A sharp crack drew her attention to the cockpit threes. Through the shattered view screen, she glimpsed movement. Inside, amid tangled wires and blinking lights, lay a human male threes. Blood matted his dark hair, and his breathing came in ragged gasps. His skin, alien in its smoothness, was marred by cuts and bruises. Veritas. Shall we end its suffering? Asked one of her hunters, weapon drawn. Queen Saraka studied the human with intense golden eyes. The ship's markings identified him as an envoy. No, she decided, her tail swishing. This one is mine. But the War Council, the hunter began. The War Council does not rule the hunt. She extracted the human from the twisted metal with surprising gentleness. He is my claim, taken in my hunting grounds by ancient law. He belongs to me. Captain Valor returned, approaching cautiously, upon seeing the human cradled in his queen's arms. My queen counselor, Malric, will view this as a provocation. Let him. Queen Saraka replied, her voice a dangerous purr. I am still Queen of Caraxus. As she turned back toward their compound, the human stirred. His eyelids fluttered, revealing deep blue eyes. For a brief moment, those eyes focused on her face, registering confusion before closing again. The spires of the royal compound came into view, twisted metal and stone, reaching toward the sky like claws. Guards snapped to attention as their queen approached, expressions shifting to shock at her unusual burden. Prepare the southern chamber in my quarters, Queen Saraka commanded. Send for healer Niri. By the time she reached her quarters, Counselor Malric waited, his black fur bristling with outrage. My queen, might I inquire about your guest? You may not. Queen Saraka replied coolly. This human is my property. I will discuss the matter at tomorrow's council meeting. Inside her chambers, Queen Saraka laid the human on soft furs. The healer. Niri began examining him without comment. He will live, healer, Niri said finally. His injuries are severe but not fatal. Queen Saraka nodded, oddly relieved. Tend to him. I want him conscious for questioning. Hours later, Kalen awoke to an alien world of unfamiliar sense. His body ached, and his vision swam as he tried to focus. Standing at the foot of his bed was the most beautiful and terrifying creature he had ever seen. Queen Saraka's golden eyes locked with his, her tail swishing slowly behind her. You're awake, human. Now you can tell me why you've invaded my world. I didn't invade anything, Kalen said, wincing as he tried to sit up. Sharp pain lanced through his ribs. My ship was attacked and forced down. I'm a galactic emissary from the Orion Concord. Queen Saraka's ears flattened slightly. A diplomat who crashes uninvited into sacred hunting grounds. Your alliance has designated landing zones. This was no accident. It wasn't planned either, Kalen countered, meeting her golden gaze. His diplomatic training had covered many scenarios, but waking up injured in what appeared to be the private chambers of a Caraxian royal hadn't been among them. Someone attacked my ship without warning. Convenient, Queen Saraka said, her tail swishing with skepticism. And what diplomatic mission brings you to Caraxis, human? My name is Kalen Ward, and that's classified information until I speak with your council of elders. Thorpais. Queen Saraka let out a sound between a purr and a growl. You misunderstand your position. You are not here as a diplomat. Your ship crashed in my hunting grounds, making you my property under Caraxian law. The only reason you're alive is because I decided you might be useful." Kalen swallowed momentarily, silenced by her bluntness. He'd studied Caraxian culture, of course, their hunting rituals, their territorial nature, their complex hierarchy, but experiencing it firsthand was different. The female looming over him was both terrifying and mesmerizing. "Where I come from, sentient beings can't be property," he finally said. "You're not where you come from." Queen Siraka leaned closer, her scent enveloping him, something wild and spicy that made his pulse quicken. "You're on Caraxis, in my territory. My possession, and a smart possession, knows when to provide value to its owner." A soft chime interrupted them. Queen Siraka straightened ears, pivoting toward the door. "Enter," she commanded. The door slid open to reveal an older Caraxian female with gray-streaked fur and gentle eyes. She carried a tray of what appeared to be medical supplies. "The human should rest, my queen," she said, approaching the bed. "His body is still healing." Queen Siraka nodded. "Very well. Neri, see that he recovers quickly. The War Council meets tomorrow, and I want him present." After she left, Neri began changing Kalen's bandages. "You're fortunate," she said quietly. "Any other hunter would have ended your suffering on the spot." "Why didn't she?" Neri's hands paused. "Our queen is unpredictable, but never mistake her interest for mercy. Caraxians don't keep pets." "I'm not a pet," Kalen said. "No, then what are you?" Neri applied a cooling salve to his wounds. "The Council views humans as a threat." "The Queen has claimed you as property." "Either way, you are not your own man here." Kalen fell silent, processing his situation. He needed to contact the Orion Concord, explain what had happened to his ship, but first he needed to understand the complex politics he'd literally crashed into. "Tell me about this War Council," he said finally. Nairi's expression grew guarded. "It's not my place to discuss such matters." "Please, if I'm to survive here, I need to understand." After a moment, she sighed. "The Council is divided. Some wish to fully join your Orion Concord, seeing the benefits of trade and protection. Others, led by Archon Malric, believe humans seek to colonize Caraxis as they have other worlds. They push for isolation or worse, preemptive strikes, and the Queen Siraka walks her own path. Now rest tomorrow will test you greatly." When Kalen awoke again, sunlight streamed through high windows, casting the chamber in amber light. His body ached less and his mind felt clearer. He carefully sat up, taking in his surroundings properly for the first time. The room was a curious blend of primitive and advanced technology. The bed consisted of luxurious furs stretched over what appeared to be a gravity-suspended platform. The walls were natural stone, yet embedded with subtle technology, environmental controls, communication panels, and security systems. He noticed fresh clothing laid out nearby, a simple tunic and pants that seemed designed for a human frame. As he dressed, the door slit open. Queen Siraka entered, now wearing formal attire that emphasized her rank, a sleek armor-like bodysuit with intricate engravings and a short cape that accentuated her powerful form. The silver-blue fur of her face, arms, and tail seemed to shimmer in the light. "You recover quickly," she observed. Good, the council awaits. 3 Cs. I'm still unclear on my status here, Kalen said, straightening to his full height, which still left him half a head shorter than the Velmoran queens. Am I appearing as a galactic emissary or as your property? Both, Queen Saraka said, stepping closer. She reached out, adjusting his tunic with surprising delicacy, for hands tipped with retractable claws these. You will address the council as my claimed prize, but you may speak of your diplomatic mission. I'm curious what brings a human envoy to Caraxis in such a dramatic fashion. He caught a hint of that intoxicating scent again, and if what I have to say contradicts your interests, Queen Saraka's golden eyes locked with his, then I might reconsider your value. Her hand lingered on his chest a moment longer than necessary before she withdrew it. Come, and remember who you belong to. The walk through the royal compound revealed a society of contrasts 3s. Ancient stone corridors gave way to advanced technology 3s. Warriors in traditional garb carried energy weapons 3s. Every Velmoran they passed bowed to Queen Saraka, but eyed Kalen with suspicion or outright hostility. They entered a vast circular chamber where 7 Velmorans sat at a crescent-shaped table 3s. At the center was a black-furred male, whose yellow eyes fixed on Kalen with undisguised contempt. Counselor Malric, Queen Saraka announced and honored members of the War Council, 3s. I present my claimed prize, a human galactic emissary, 3s. Malric's voice was like gravel. And what does this prize have to say for himself? Kalen stepped forward, feeling the weight of 7 predatory gazes. I come with a warning. Your world is in danger, freeze. The council chamber erupted in growls and hisses 3s. Malric stood slamming his clawed fist onto the table 3s. More human deception, they speak of threats, while they themselves arm our enemies 3s. I have evidence, Kalen replied calmly, though his heart raced 3s. The Orion Concord discovered that rogue elements within our military-industrial complex have been selling advanced weaponry to the Zinth Dominion. The mention of the Zinth, a neighboring system that had long contested Velmoran territory, sent another wave of agitation through the council. Queen Saraka remained unnervingly still. What evidence? Data crystals in my ship, secure vault if it survived the crash 3s. Convenient that we cannot verify your claims, Malric interrupted 3s. My queen, this human spins tales to save himself 3s. The Orion Concord has long sought to destabilize our sovereignty, and yet Queen Saraka replied, her voice cutting through the chamber like a blade. If he speaks truth, ignoring his warning would be foolish 3s. A female counselor with rust-colored fur leaned forward. Rise. What would the Orion Concord gain by warning us regional stability? Kalen answered 3s. The Orion Concord doesn't want a war in this sector 3s. We need Caraxis as a strategic partner, not a battlefield 3s. Malric's lip curled 3s. We need no human protection 3s. Caraxis has stood strong for millennia, not against quantum disruptors, Kalen countered 3s. The weapons being sold to the Zinth could penetrate your planetary defenses in hours 3s. Silence fell across the chamber. Queen Saraka's golden eyes studied Kalen intently, searching for deceptions. My Queen Malric finally set his voice dangerously soft. I formally challenge your judgment in bringing this human before us, says. His presence violates our most sacred laws, and his words sow discord. I invoke the right of Karvosh. The other counselors visibly tensed. Queen Soraka's fur bristled along her spine, though her face remained impassive. Threes. You challenge my right of claim? She asked, her tone deceptively light. I challenge your fitness to rule if you place a human's words above Carax's security, Malric replied. The trial of combat will determine truth. Kalen stepped closer to Queen Soraka. Threes. What's happening? He whispered. Threes. Silence, she commanded, though without heat. Threes. To the council, she said, I accept your challenge, counselor. Combat at dusk in the sacred arena. The human will attend. The human should be confined until then, Malric insisted. The human is my property, Queen Soraka countered, and will remain with me. Threes. With that, she turned and left the chamber, indicating for Kalen to follow. Threes. Once they were in a private corridor, he grabbed her arm, a breach of protocol that earned him a warning growl. Threes. What is Karvosh? He demanded, releasing her, but standing his ground. Trial by combat, she replied. Threes. An ancient tradition when leadership decisions are challenged. Threes. Malric has forced my hand. Either I fight him to defend my claim on you, or I surrender you to the council. Threes. Her lips curled in a predatory smile. And I do not surrender what is mine. Threes. You're going to fight to the death over a diplomatic dispute. Threes. No, she said. Threes. I'm going to fight to the death over you. Threes. Kalen ran a hand through his hair in frustration. Threes. This is insane. I'm trying to prevent a war, not start one. Threes. Among Velmoran's combat is the most important. Threes. Among Velmoran's combat is politics, Queen Soraka said, resuming her walk. Besides, Malric has wanted me off the throne since my ascension, sir. You merely provide a convenient excuse. Threes. They arrived at a training hall where several warriors practiced combat techniques. Threes. The room fell silent as Queen Soraka entered. With fluid grace, she removed her formal cape and approached a weapons rack. If you want to survive on Caraxis, she said to Kalen, you should understand our ways. Threes. For the next hour, Kalen watched in astonishment as Queen Soraka trained. Threes. She moved with a lethal beauty that was mesmerizing, her silver blue fur rippling over corded muscle, her movements flowing like water, yet striking with the force of lightning. As the training intensified, Kalen noticed her favoring her left side, a subtle wince when she pivoted a fraction of hesitation before certain strikes, an old injury, perhaps one that Malric might know about. When she finally paused for rest, he approached her. You're hurt. Threes. Queen Soraka's ears flattened. It's nothing. Threes. It's something Malric will exploit. Threes. Kalen met her gaze steadily. Threes. I've studied Velmoran physiology. Your species has a secondary nerve cluster beneath the left shoulder blade, vulnerable to compression. Threes. Her golden eyes narrowed. Threes. How does a diplomat know such things? My mission required thorough preparation. He hesitated, then added, let me help you. How could a human possibly help me in Karvosh? I may not be a warrior, but I am a trained field medic. Threes. Orion Concord diplomats are prepared for all contingencies. Threes. Queen Soraka studied him for a long moment, then nodded once. Come. She led him to her private chambers, dismissed the guards, and locked the door threes. Without a word, she removed her training armor, revealing the sleek fur of her back and the taut muscles beneath. "There," she said, indicating a spot beneath her left shoulder blade. An old combat wound, it healed, but sometimes Kalen approached, carefully aware of the unprecedented trust she was showing. He placed his hands gently on her fur, feeling the alien warmth of her body beneath his fingers. "This might hurt," he warned, then pressed firmly into the spot where the nerve cluster lay. "Trees." Queen Saraka hissed her claws, extending reflexively, but she did not pull away threes. As Kalen worked the damaged tissue, her breathing steadied, and gradually the tension in her muscles released. "Threes." "Better?" he asked softly. "Threes." She turned to face him, their bodies nearly touching threes. "Yes," she said, her voice low. "Threes. Perhaps humans have their uses after all." The moment stretched between them, charged with something neither had anticipated. Then a distant chime broke the silence. "Threes. It's time." Queen Saraka said the arena awaits threes. The sacred arena was carved from an ancient meteor crater, its stone walls polished by generations of Caroxian hands. Threes. Thousands of spectators filled the tiered seating, their collective growls and purrs, creating an eerie harmony that echoed off the walls. Kalen stood in a special box reserved for royal attendants, uncomfortable under the hostile stares of the crowd. The Caroxians saw this as entertainment, but for him, it was a nightmare. Threes. His diplomatic mission derailed into bloodsport, with Queen Saraka's life at stake. Because of his presence. Threes. A horn sounded, and the crowd fell silent as Queen Saraka entered the arena. Threes. She wore minimal armor, just enough to protect vital areas while allowing full range of movement. Her silver-blue fur gleamed in the dying sunlight, her bushy tail held high in confidence. From the opposite entrance came Malric, his black fur adorned with red markings of War Threes. He carried a traditional Caroxian fighting staff, tipped with phase pulse sabers at both ends. Threes. Queen Saraka had selected a shorter blade that pulsed with the same energy. Threes. "Today we witness," Karvosh announced, "an elder Caroxian Threes. Archon Malric challenges Queen Saraka's fitness to rule. Let blood speak truth." The combatants circled each other, neither rushing to strike first. Threes. Kalen could see Queen Saraka was protecting her left side, keeping it away from Malric's reach. Threes. For several tense moments they simply studied each other, two apex predators assessing weaknesses. Threes. Malric attacked first, his staff whirling in a deadly arc. Threes. Queen Saraka ducked under it, her blade slashing upward, catching the edge of Malric's armor. First blood to the queen. Threes. The crowd roared. The fight intensified, both combatants displaying extraordinary skill and speed. But Kalen could see Malric was the stronger of the two, his blows forcing Queen Saraka to expend energy on defense. Threes. He was wearing her down, deliberately targeting her left side. Threes. A vicious strike caught Queen Saraka off guard. Threes. She stumbled, momentarily vulnerable, and Malric pressed his advantage. Threes. His staff connected with her shoulder precisely where her old injury lay. She fell to one knee, a hiss of pain escaping her lips. The crowd grew quiet, sensing the fight's turning point. Malric moved in for the kill, confidence in every step. Threes. Queen Saraka Kalen shouted, forgetting protocol in his urgency. Threes. The nerve cluster. Remember what we practiced. Threes. Her ears twitched at his voice. Threes. As Malric brought his staff down for the finishing blow, Queen Saraka rolled to her right, not away from the strike as expected, but toward it. The move surprised Malric, disrupting his balance. Threes. In one fluid motion, she drove her blade upward, slicing through his armor and into his flesh. Threes. Malric staggered back, black blood seeping from the wound. But the fight wasn't over. Threes. Wounded and enraged, he attacked, with renewed ferocity, driving Queen Saraka toward the arena wall. Threes. It happened in a blur. Threes. Malric's staff shattered Queen Saraka's blade, leaving her seemingly defenseless. The crowd gasped, but instead of retreating, she charged forward, ducking under his guard. Her claws extended as she drove her hand deep into the wound she'd already inflicted. Malric froze shock on his face as Queen Saraka leaned close to whisper something only he could hear. Then she twisted her hand, and he collapsed to the ground. Victory to Queen Saraka, announced the elder. The challenge is answered. The crowd's reaction was mixed respect for their queen's triumph, yet uncertainty about the human whose shout had influenced the battle's outcome. Kalen felt their stares intensify as Queen Saraka, bloodied but unbowed, strode from the arenas. Guards escorted him to her recovery chamber, where healers were already tending to her wounds. Threes. She dismissed them with a flick of her tail when she saw him. Threes. You interfered in Karvosh, she said, her voice flat. Threes. That has never happened before. I couldn't watch you die, Kalen replied simply. Queen Saraka studied him, her golden eyes unreadable. So, why I am your captor, not your ally. Oh, perhaps you could be both. Threes. A long silence stretched between them, broken only when a junior officer burst into the chamber without announcing himself, a breach of protocol that spoke to urgent news. Threes. My queen, he gasped. We've recovered the data vault from the human's ship. Threes. Kalen straightened immediately. Were the data crystals intact? Yes, but the officer hesitated, looking to his queen. Threes. Speak, Queen Saraka commanded. Threes. The information they contain is troubling. Threes. The human spoke truth about weapons being sold to the Rex. Threes. But the data shows more. Threes. He handed Queen Saraka a small projection device. Threes. The attack on his ship. It came from within the Alliance itself. Threes. Queen Saraka activated the device. A holographic display showed the trajectory and energy signature of the weapons that had downed Kalen's ship. Threes. The origin was unmistakable. An Alliance military vessel. Threes. Your own people tried to kill you, Queen Saraka said, looking up at Kalen. Threes. Why? Kalen stared at the projection in disbelief. Threes. I don't understand. I was sent by Alliance High Command. Threes. Were you? Queen Saraka gestured to another portion of the data. These communications were intercepted by your ship's systems before the attack. Threes. Someone named Director Harlow ordered your elimination. Threes. Kalen's blood ran cold. Harlow. But he's the one who authorized my mission. Threes. It seems Queen Saraka said you were never meant to arrive with your warning. Threes. The question is, why would elements in your alliance want to prevent Caraxes from learning about weapons sales to the Rex? Kalen's mind raced through the implications. Because they're profiting from both sides. Arms dealers within the Alliance military complex, they're deliberately destabilizing this sector. Threes. And now, Queen Soraka said softly, they'll be coming to silence you permanently. This changes everything, Kalen said, pacing the recovery chamber. If Harlow's involved, this goes beyond arms dealings. He oversees Alliance security protocols for this entire sector. Threes. Queen Soraka watched him, her posture relaxed despite her injuries. You seem surprised that your own kind would betray you. Threes. Wouldn't you be? Kalen stopped pacing to face her. Threes. Everything I believed about my mission, my purpose here was a lie, she finished for him. Threes. Welcome to politics, diplomat. Threes. A low chime interrupted them. Threes. Captain Valor entered and bowed deeply to his queen. Threes. The council requests your presence, my queen. Threes. They wish to discuss the revelations from the humans' data crystals. Threes. Of course they do, Queen Soraka murmured. She rose smoothly, masking any pain from her wounds. Tell them I will join them shortly. Once Captain Valor departed, she turned to Kalen. Politics never waits, not even for healing. You should rest. Your injuries are insignificant compared to the threat we now face. She tilted her head, studying him with new interest. Your concern is noted. Kalen held her gaze. What happens now to me, to my mission? You have no mission, Kalen Ward. Your superiors want you dead. All the more reason to complete what I started. These weapon sales need to be exposed. Queen Soraka's ears twitched forward in what he was beginning to recognize as curiosities. You would still serve an alliance that betrayed you. I serve its ideals, not corrupt officials like Harlow. Threes. Kalen stepped closer to her. But I'll need your help, Threes. Her tail swished slowly. Threes. You're asking for an alliance with your owner. I'm asking for a partnership with Caraxis's queen. Queen Soraka considered this her golden eyes, never leaving his face. Finally, she nodded once. There is a Velmoran tradition. When a ruler takes a new advisor, they must first hunt together. The prey's blood seals their covenant. Threes. You want to take me hunting? I want to see what you're made of. Human. Threes. Her lips curled into what might have been a smile. Threes. Besides, it will get us away from the palace. Dravek's supporters will be watching you closely now, and Alliance assassins could already be on their way. Threes. Dawn found them deep in the crimson forests of Caraxis. Threes. Queen Soraka had outfitted Kalen with lightweight armor, adapted to his human frame, and a short-range energy pistol, a concession she made with clear reluctance. Threes. Caraxians hunt with blades and wits, she had explained, but you lack our natural advantages. Their quarry was a Vexlar, a predatory beast with 6 limbs and armored hide that Queen Soraka described as challenging even for experienced hunters. Their true purpose, however, was to survey the crash site of Kalen's ship while appearing to follow tradition. Threes. They moved silently through the underbrush, Queen Soraka occasionally signaling for Kalen to stop or change direction. Threes. Despite his diplomatic training, which included wilderness survival, he felt clumsy beside her fluid grace. Your scent is too strong, she whispered, during one pause. Threes. The Vexlar will smell you before we get close enough. Threes. Sorry, I don't have self-cleaning fur, Kalen whispered back. To his surprise, A sound like musical chimes emerged from her throat. Caroxian laughter. There may be hope for you yet, diplomat. They reached a ridgeline overlooking a valley. In the distance, the wreckage of Kalen's ship was visible now, surrounded by Caroxian military units, establishing a perimeter. Terrace is thorough. Queen Soraka commented, "Threes. No one will approach without our knowledge." Threes. Kalen studied the wreckage through a field scope. Threes. Most of the communications array seems intact. Threes. If I could access it, I might be able to send a secure message to my remaining allies in the Alliance. Threes. A dangerous gamble. How would you know whom to trust? There are verification protocols, emergency channels that even Harlow can't monitor. He lowered the scope. Threes. I need to try Queen Soraka. She tense, suddenly ears swiveling toward the forest behind them. Down, she hissed, pushing him flat against the ground. Buzz. Seconds later, a massive creature burst from the underbrush. The Vexlar, its armored hide, glistening with bioluminescent patterns. It hadn't detected them yet, but was moving in their direction, following their trail. We've lost the advantage of surprise, Queen Soraka whispered, her body pressed against his. It's tracking us. What's the plan? We become the hunters again. Threes. Her eyes gleamed with the excitement of the chase. Threes. Follow my lead, stay downwind, and don't use that weapon unless absolutely necessary. Threes. For the next hour, they stalked the creature that was stalking them, circling around to approach from behind. Threes. Kalen found himself admiring Queen Soraka's strategic mind. She anticipated the Vexlar's movements perfectly, using the terrain to their advantage. When they finally closed in, she signaled for Kalen to create a distraction. Threes. He deliberately snapped a branch, then ducked behind a boulder as the creature whirled toward the sound. Threes. From the opposite direction, Queen Soraka launched herself in a silent arc, her blade reflecting the dappled sunlight. Threes. The Vexlar sensed her at the last moment, rearing up on its hind limbs. Threes. One powerful swipe caught Queen Soraka mid-leap, sending her crashing into the underbrush. Without thinking, Kalen stepped out from cover, raised his energy pistol, and fired precisely at the junction between two armor plates that Queen Soraka had pointed out earlier. Threes. The creature staggered momentarily, stunned but not down. Threes. The neck ridge. Queen Soraka shouted, already regaining her feet. Threes. Together understanding, instantly, Kalen fired again, hitting the same vulnerable spot. Threes. As the Vexlar reeled, Queen Soraka pounced her blade, driving deep into the exposed neck ridge. The creature collapsed with a shuddering groan. Blood ritual completed over the fallen Vexlars. Queen Soraka and Kalen made their way to his crashed ship. Caroxian guards stood at attention as their queen approached, though many cast suspicious glances at Kalen's. The communications array, Kalen said, once they'd entered the wreckage, it should be in the secondary control room. Navigating through twisted corridors, they reached a small chamber, mostly intact despite the crash. Kalen immediately began working on the system console, his fingers dancing across the interface. Threes. Can you really reach trustworthy allies? Queen Soraka asked, keeping watch at the doorway. There's only one person I trust completely, my former commanding officer, Admiral Seren Vos. Threes. She never approved of Harlow's methods. Threes. The console flickered to life. Threes. If I can reach her through secure channels, she might be able to expose what's happening. And if these secure channels are compromised, Kalen met her gaze, then they'll know exactly where to find us, Threes. After several tense minutes of work, Kalen sat back, Threes. Message sent, now we wait, Threes. Queen Soraka's ears suddenly pivoted toward the ship's entrance. Threes. Something's wrong, Threes. She moved with alarming speed toward the main corridor, Kalen following close behind, Threes. Outside, they found several guard posts abandoned. The few remaining soldiers appeared nervous, weapons ready. Report, Queen Soraka, commanded the nearest guard. My queen, urgent summons from the palace, Threes. Archon Malric's supporters have convened an emergency session of the War Council, Threes. They claim you've been compromised, Threes. Queen Soraka's tail lashed once in barely controlled anger. Threes. On what grounds? The ritual hunt with the human Threes. They say it constitutes a diplomatic alliance unauthorized by the Council, Threes. The hunt is my ancient right as Queen, Threes. They are calling it treason, my queen. The guard lowered his voice, Threes. There is talk of forced abdication, Threes. Kalen and Queen Soraka exchanged glances, Threes. This is too convenient, Kalen said quietly. If Harlow has agents on Caraxis, they would seize any opportunity to destabilize leadership, Threes. Queen Soraka finished particularly leadership, now aware of their weapons trafficking, Threes. She turned to the loyal guard, Threes. Gather those still faithful to the crown, Threes. We returned to the palace immediately, Ois. The journey back was tense. Their small contingent of guards constantly scanning for threats, Threes. As they approached the palace, the unusual silence struck Kalen as ominous, Threes. No sentries at the outer gates. Queen Soraka noted, her voice low. Threes. The coup has already begun. Threes. What's your plan? Kalen asked. There are old passages known only to the royal bloodline, Threes. We'll enter undetected and assess the situation, Threes. She signaled to her captains. Captain Valor, take your warriors to the eastern barracks. Rally those loyal to me, but do not engage until you receive my signal, Threes. Queen Soraka led Kalen to what appeared to be solid stone wall at the palace's rear, Threes. Her clawed hand pressed against specific points in sequence, revealing a narrow passage, Threes. Stay close, she whispered as they entered the darkness, Threes. These tunnels predate my way, Threes. These tunnels predate modern security systems. They moved silently through the network of passages, occasionally pausing as Queen Soraka listened for movement behind the walls, Threes. Finally, they reached an exit that opened into her private chambers, Threes. Empty, she said, after scanning the rooms. They likely expect me to enter through the main gates. What next? Kalen asked. I need to reach the throne room's security controls, Threes. From there, I can lock down sections of the palace and isolate Malric's forces. You mean we need to reach the controls? Queen Soraka's golden eyes met his, Threes. This is not your fight, Kalen warned. I'm pretty sure a coup orchestrated by the same people who tried to kill me makes it my fight, Threes. He checked the charge on his energy pistol, Threes. Besides, I'm still your property. Remember, what kind of possession abandons its owner? That chiming laughter again, though quieter now, Threes. Very well. But if we're captured, you will likely face execution rather than simply imprisonment. Noted they slipped into the corridor, moving with practice, stealth, Threes. Twice they had to duck into alcoves as armed guards passed threes. The palace felt eerily vacant, with most personnel either confined or participating in the coup threes. At an intersection, Queen Soraka suddenly pulled Kalen back, pressing him against the wall as voices approached threes. Her body was flush against his, her scent surrounding him. For a heartbeat, Kalen was acutely aware of everything about her. The softness of her fur, the strength in her lithe form, the warmth of her breath. 6 guards, she whispered, her lips nearly touching his ear. 3. Too many to bypass quietly. Threes. We need a distraction, Kalen whispered back. Or an alternative route. She nodded toward an air circulation duct above them. Can you climb? Minutes later, they were crawling through the narrow duct systems. Kalen followed Queen Soraka's tail as they navigated the labyrinthine passages. The throne room should be directly below us now, she said, pausing at a junction. Threes. Listen, threes. Voices drifted up through a vent, Malric's distinctive growl prominent among them. Threes. We'll announce that Queen Soraka has formed an unauthorized alliance with human forces, endangering Caraxes. Threes. The evidence is clear. Threes. She hunted with the human in sacred ritual, binding our world to his without council approval. Threes. And when she returns, asked another voice. She will not return to power, Malric replied coldly. The human has already contacted his alliance masters. Threes. Their vessels approach even now, no doubt, to extract him and the intelligence he's gathered on our defenses. Threes. Kalen and Queen Soraka exchanged alarmed glances. These. How could he know about my transmission? Kalen whispered. These. He couldn't, Xaver replied grimly, unless your Admiral Reeves is also compromised. Threes. We need to move, Queen Soraka whispered. If Alliance vessels are truly coming, they're not here for rescue. Threes. They backtracked through the ventilation system until they reached a maintenance access point. Threes. Dropping into an empty storage room, Queen Soraka immediately activated her comm divity. Threes. Captain Voilor, report. Threes. Static crackled before his voice came through. Threes. My queen, we're pinned down in the eastern barracks. Threes. Malric has more support than anticipated. Threes. Many believe the human has compromised you. Threes. Shamorstan, hold position. We need a new strategy. Threes. She turned to Kalen. Threes. If your people and mine are both against us, our options are limited. Threes. Kalen's mind raced through scenarios. Threes. We need to get off world. Threes. If Harlow's involved in a weapons conspiracy this big, there will be evidence in Alliance databases. Threes. We just need to access a secure terminal outside his control. Threes. And how do you propose we leave Caraxes? The spaceport will be the first place they look. There's a secondary communications relay in the mountain range north of here. Threes. It has a small landing pad for maintenance crews. Threes. If we can reach it, we might be able to call for neutral transport. Threes. Queen Soraka considered this. Threes. The northern territories are treacherous, but I know them well. Threes. We'd need supplies, weapons. Threes. She trailed off, ears pivoting toward the door. Threes. Someone's coming. Threes. They flattened themselves against the wall as the storage room door slid open. A small Velmoran female with light brown fur entered, then froze upon seeing them. Threes. Talia, Queen Soraka said, recognizing the palace technician. Threes. The female immediately dropped to a submissive posture. Threes. My queen. Everyone says you've been captured or killed, Threes. Reports of my demise are premature. Threes. Queen Saraka replied dryly. Threes. What is happening in the palace? Archon Malric has declared himself acting regent. He claims human warships are approaching Caraxus and that you've allied with them against our interests. Threes. Talia glanced nervously at Kalen. Threes. No one knows what to believe, Threes. And what do you believe? Talia Queen Saraka asked softly. Threes. The technician hesitated only briefly. Threes. I believe the council never respected your vision for Caraxus, and I've monitored enough transmissions to know Malric has been in contact with off-worlders himself. Threes. Kalen stepped forward. What kind of off-worlders, I don't know, but they use Alliance encryption protocols. Threes. We need to leave the palace undetected, Queen Saraka said. Threes. Can you help us? Talia's ears perked up. The maintenance tunnels connect to the city's underground transit system. Threes. I can guide you there. Threes. With Talia leading, they navigated through rarely used service corridors, avoiding patrols. Threes. The technician proved invaluable accessing security feeds to check their path ahead. Why are you helping us? Kalen asked her during a brief pause. Threes. Talia's eyes, a lighter amber than Queen Saraka's, golden ones, darted to him, then away. Threes. My family has served the royal household for generations. Threes. But also, she hesitated. I've studied human culture. Threes. Your alliance has brought opportunity to worlds like ours. Threes. Malric would have us isolated, clinging to traditions that no longer serve us. Threes. They reached a heavy door that Talia unlocked with her access codes. This leads to the transit tunnels. Follow them north for 2 kilometers, then take the maintenance shaft up to the surface. Threes. You'll emerge near the forest edge. Threes. Come with us, Queen Saraka said. Threes. Malric will punish any suspected of loyalty to me. Threes. Talia shook her head. Threes. I can serve you better here, monitoring communications and misleading search parties. Threes. She handed Queen Saraka a small device. Threes. This will show you patrol movements outside the city. Threes. Now, go. The transit tunnels were dimly lit and echoed with distant mechanical sounds. Queen Saraka moved confidently, her night vision superior to Kalen's. Threes. Occasionally her hand would find his in the darkness, guiding him around obstacles. Says, the loyalty of your people is impressive, Kalen observed after they'd been walking some time. Threes. Not all are loyal. As we've seen, she replied, but Caraxians value on or above all Malric's methods, dishonor tradition even as he claims to defend it. They emerged from the maintenance shaft into the cool night air. The twin moons of Caraxus cast everything in silver-blue light that complemented Queen Saraka's fur. Threes. From their elevated position they could see the high spire sprawling below, and in the distance, the faint lights of approaching vessels in the sky. Threes. Orion Concord ships. Kalen confirmed grimly, we need to move faster. Threes. Queen Saraka led them into the forest, moving with the confidence of one who knew every tree and rock. After an hour of steady travel, they reached a small clearing where a camouflage shelter was hidden among the foliage. One of my private hunting retreats, she explained, activating the entry sequence. We can rest here briefly and gather supplies. Inside was sparse, but well equipped. Weapons, communications gear, survival equipment. Queen Soraka immediately began selecting items they would need. Kalen helped, though his attention kept returning to her. In the soft light of the shelter, with her guard momentarily lowered, she appeared different, still regal and dangerous, but also vulnerable, in a way he hadn't seen before. Threes. She caught him watching her. Threes. What is it, human? You gave up your throne, rather than surrender me to Malric, he said quietly. Threes. Why? Queen Soraka's movement stilled. Threes. At first you were merely property, a curiosity, and potentially useful tool. Threes. Now her golden eyes met his. Now I find I've claimed more than I anticipated. Thris. The moment hung between them, charged with unspoken feelings. Kalen stepped closer, drawn by something neither of them had anticipated when they first met. Queen Soraka, he began, but the shelter's proximity alert cut him off. Threes. Her ears pivoted toward the sound, body instantly alert. Threes. Someone's approaching. Threes. She moved to the security display, checking the perimeter sensors. Threes. A single vessel, small class, not Alliance design. They armed themselves and took defensive positions. Threes. Queen Soraka at the primary entrance, Kalen covering the emergency exit. Threes. Minutes passed in tense silence before the sound was heard. Minutes passed in tense silence before a familiar voice came through the comm system. My queen, are you there? Captain Valor. Queen Soraka breathed immediately, opening the channel. Report your status. Threes. I've secured a transport and evaded palace forces. Threes. Talia sent me your coordinates. We must leave immediately. Malric has deployed spectral trackers to this region. Queen Soraka glanced at Kalen. Can we trust this? Do we have a choice? He replied. Threes. If those Alliance ships are Harlow's, we need to be gone before they establish a search grid. Threes. She made her decision quickly. Captain Valor, we're coming out. Threes. Be ready for immediate departure. Threes. They emerged cautiously, weapons ready. Captain Valor waited beside a sleek Velmoran scout vessel, its engines humming on standby mode. Threes. The warrior's russet fur was singed in places and fresh cuts marked his arms. Threes. You fought your way out, Queen Soraka observed. Threes. Those loyal to the throne gave me cover. Threes. His eyes shifted to Kalen, displaying neither hostility nor warmth. Threes. The human comes with us. He does, she replied firmly. Once aboard, Captain Valor took the pilot's position while Queen Soraka and Kalen strapped into the passenger seats. The vessel rose swiftly, its advanced stealth systems activating to mask their heat signature and trajectory. Threes. Where to, my queen? Captain Valor asked. Threes. The Northern Communications Relay, she replied. Threes. We need to access Alliance channels without being detected. Threes. Captain Valor glanced back at Kalen. Can he be trusted, now that we know Alliance forces are complicit in the coup? Not all of them, Kalen interjected. This conspiracy involves specific military-industrial factions, not the entire Alliance. Threes. How convenient, Captain Valor growled. Threes. Enough, Queen Soraka commanded. Threes. Kalen has proven his loyalty. Threes. Had he been working with Harlow, he could have betrayed me 12 times already. Threes. The remainder of the journey passed in silence. Kalen watched the Velmoran landscape unfold beneath them, vast crimson forests giving way to rocky highlands, then the jagged mountain range that dominated the northern continent. The communications relay station perched on one of the higher peaks, a lonely outpost of technology amid wilderness. No signs of occupation. Captain Valor reported as they approached, but the facility appears powered down. Standard protocol during political instability, Queen Saraka explained, but the emergency systems can be activated manually. They landed on a small pad, partially covered in native vegetation, trees. The facility had clearly been automated for some time, with only occasional maintenance visits. "I'll secure the perimeter," Captain Valor said as they disembarked. Inside, Queen Saraka went directly to the main control room and began the power-up sequence, while Kalen examined the communications array. "This is old Alliance tech," he noted, part of the initial diplomatic package when Velmora first opened relations. "Can you make it work?" "Yes, but we'll need to be careful. Any transmission could be traced." As systems came online, Kalen accessed the secure channels used by Orion Concord Diplomatic Corps, bypassing standard protocols with emergency override codes. After several tense minutes, he looked up with a grim expression. "Most of my authentication codes have been revoked. I'm officially listed as killed in action." Queen Saraka moved to his side, studying the screen. "They've already written your death into their records." It gets worse. There's a bulletin about a Velmoran coup allegedly supported by human terrorists attempting to destabilize the Sector 3s. Harlow is coordinating the Orion Concord response, sending peacekeeping forces to support the legitimate government under Malric 3s. They're using this situation to establish direct military presence on Velmora. Queen Saraka realized 3s. Once here, they'll have the leverage to control both us and the Zinth 3s. Kalen continued searching through databases he could still access. Here, shipping manifests with Harlow's authorization codes. Weapons deliveries to the Zinth, disguised as agricultural equipment dating back 2 years. 3s. "Can you transmit this evidence to someone trustworthy?" "I think so. 3s. There's one secure channel still responding to my credentials. 3s. It's linked to Admiral Seren Voss's personal network if she's not part of this. 3s. The facility suddenly shuddered as distant explosions echoed through the mountains. "Orbital strikes," Captain Valor reported over the comm. 3s. "They found us. 3s. How Kalen demanded fingers flying over the console. 3s. We haven't even transmitted yet." The facility itself, Queen Saraka realized. 3s. When we brought systems online, it registered on Velmoran defense networks. 3s. Networks. Malric now controls. 3s. "I need 5 more minutes to compile and encrypt this data," Kalen said. 3s. Queen Saraka turned to the weapons locker, extracting a high-powered rifle. 3s. "You have 3. Captain Valor and I will buy you time. 3s. Queen Saraka. "Wait." Kalen caught her arm. The words he wanted to say stuck in his throat. 3s. She smiled, a predator's smile, but with something softer behind it. 3s. "I claimed you as my property." Kalen warred. 3s. "I protect what's mine." 3s. Her free hand briefly touched his face. 3s. "Send your message. 3s. Make this worth it. 3s. Kalen worked frantically at the console, compiling the evidence of Harlow's conspiracy, while the facility trembled from nearby impacts. Through the viewport, he could see Queen Saraka and Captain Valor taking defensive positions as a sleek Alliance dropship descended through the clouds. 3. The communication system finally chimed. 3s. "Transmission ready. Enter." Final authentication 3s. His fingers hovered over the input 3s. This was their only chance to expose the truth, but sending the message would pinpoint their location to every Alliance vessel in orbit 3s. He took a deep breath and entered his code. Transmission complete, the system confirmed. Outside, the dropship landed, disgorging a squad of Alliance Special Forces in full combat gear. They moved with practiced precision, clearly briefed on Velmoran fighting capabilities 3s. Queen Saraka and Captain Valor were outnumbered and outgunned 3s. Kalen grabbed a rifle from the weapons locker and headed for the exit 3s. He wasn't a soldier, but Alliance diplomatic training included basic combat skills. More importantly, he couldn't let Queen Saraka face this alone 3s. He emerged onto a narrow ledge overlooking the landing pad 3s. The Special Forces had split into two teams, one engaging Captain Valor, while the other circled toward Queen Saraka's position 3s. Their tactics were designed to separate the Velmorans, preventing them from coordinating their natural pack hunting abilities 3s. Kalen took aim at the team approaching Queen Saraka and fired. His shot struck one soldier's shoulder, disrupting their formation 3s. Queen Saraka immediately capitalized on the distraction, leaping from cover with a speed that made her almost invisible to the human eye 3s. Two soldiers went down before they could react 3s. The human is the primary target, shouted the squad leader 3s. Alpha team, focus fire on his position 3s. Phase rounds impacted around Kalen, forcing him back into cover 3s. He'd given away his position but had drawn fire away from Queen Saraka. Through the chaos, he caught her golden eyes looking up at him. A flash of concern, then fierce determination. The battle intensified as Captain Valor engaged 3 soldiers in close combat, his powerful Velmoran physique giving him the advantage in confined spaces. But the Orion Concord forces were adjusting their tactics, using distance and superior firepower to keep the Velmorans at bay 3s. A new sound cut through the firefight, the distinctive whine of a planetary assault craft. Through the clouds came a massive Orion Concord warship, its weapon systems targeting the facility. They're going to level the entire mountain, Kalen realized to race. He activated his comm link 3s. Queen Saraka, we need to evacuate now 3s. They're bringing in heavy artillery 3s. Get to the transport. Her voice came back tense with exertion 3s. Captain Valor is pinned down. I'm going for him. Kalen watched in horror as Queen Saraka charged across open ground toward Captain Valor, who was wounded in using a fallen boulder for cover 3s. 3 Orion Concord soldiers had him trapped, methodically closing in for the kill 3s. Without thinking, Kalen left his protected position and ran along the ledge until he was above the soldiers 3s. He jumped, landing heavily on one, knocking him unconscious 3s. The other 2 turned, surprised by the attack from above. In that moment of hesitation, Queen Saraka struck her blade, flashing twice in the sunlight 3s. You should have stayed in cover, she growled, helping Captain Valor to his feet. You're welcome, Kalen replied, grabbing the fallen soldier's weapons. A deafening roar drowned out further conversation as the Orion Concord warship opened fire 3s. The first volley struck the communications array, sending shrapnel in all directions. The second hit the mountainside below them, triggering a rock slide 3s. Move, Queen Saraka shouted, half dragging the injured Captain Valor toward their transport 3s. Kalen provided covering fire, as more Orion Concord troops emerged from the dropship Threes. They reached the transport just as the facility's main structure collapsed Threes. Captain Valor struggled into the pilot's seat, his hands leaving bloody smears on the controls. "I can fly," he insisted, activating the engines. The transport lurched upward narrowly, avoiding another barrage from the warship Threes. As they gained altitude, Kalen saw more Orion Concord vessels converging on their position Threes. "We'll never outrun them," he said, Threes. "Their ships are faster, better armed Threes." "We don't need to outrun them," Queen Saraka replied, Threes. "Just reach the broken zeniths, Threes. The magnetic properties of the rock formations will mask our signature." An explosion rocked their craft, sending warning lights flashing across the control panel. Captain Valor fought to maintain control as smoke began filling the cabin Threes. "Direct hit to the propulsion system," he reported. "Grimly, we're losing altitude Threes." "Can we make the peaks?" Queen Saraka asked. "Perhaps, but we'll crash on arrival." Threes. Kalen moved to the communication station. "I might be able to help." "The Orion Concord vessels are using standard military channels. If I can access their tactical network Threes." His diplomatic override codes were still active in some systems Threes. Within minutes, he had infiltrated the targeting network of the nearest Orion Concord ship Threes. "I'm feeding them false coordinates," he explained, Threes. "They think we're heading south Threes." The ruse worked temporarily, buying them precious minutes as they limped toward the jagged mountains ahead. But their damaged transport was leaving a visible trail of smoke, and it wouldn't be long before visual confirmation overrode the electronic deception Threes. As they approached the broken zeniths, another blast caught their tail section Threes. The transport spun wildly, systems failing as they plummeted toward the unforgiving landscape below Threes. "Brace for impact," Valor shouted, fighting the controls to the last second Threes. Kalen felt Queen Saraka's hand find his as darkness rushed up to meet them. Consciousness returned to Kalen in painful fragments, the acrid smell of burning electronics, the taste of blood, a persistent ringing in his ears. He forced his eyes open to see shafts of light filtering through twisted metal, the remains of their transport wedged between two rock formations Threes. "Queen Saraka," he called, his voice hoarse Threes. When no answer came, panic surged through him Threes. "Queen Saraka, quieter, human," came her voice from nearby, strained but alive. "Orion Concord patrols are still searching Threes." Relief flooded through him as he turned to see her silver-blue form Threes. She was injured, a deep gash along her arm, her fur matted with blood, but her golden eyes were clear and alert. "Valor," Kalen asked, her ears flattened slightly. "Alive but badly wounded. I've stabilized him, but he needs proper medical attention." They had crashed in a narrow ravine within the broken zeniths, the magnetic properties of the surrounding rock formations temporarily masking their presence from Orion Concord scanners Threes. But it wouldn't last Threes. Ground troops would eventually search the area Threes. "We need to move," Queen Saraka said, helping Kalen to his feet Threes. "There's a Velmoran outpost 2 days' journey from here Threes. Old hunting grounds, converted to a military installation. Will they help us? Your people think you've aligned with human terrorists Threes. Not all believe Dravek's lies Threes. This outpost is commanded by Maris, my mother's oldest friend. She will honor the old ways, threes. With Valor supported between them, they began the arduous journey through the treacherous terrain, threes. The broken zeniths lived up to their name, jagged formations of metallic rock that played havoc with technology and created disorienting echo chambers of sound. As night fell, they found shelter in a shallow cave, threes. Valor had lapsed into unconsciousness, his breathing labored, threes. Queen Soraka tended to his wounds with practiced efficiency, then turned her attention to Kalen's injuries, threes. "You fought well today," she said quietly, as she cleaned a cut on his forehead, threes. Few humans would have charged into battle against their own kind. They stopped being my kind when they betrayed everything the Alliance stands for, Kalen replied. Then catching her gaze, he added, "Besides, I couldn't let them hurt you, threes." Her hand paused, resting against his face, threes. Why? The question hung between them, demanding truth, threes. In the days since he had crashed into her world, something had formed between them, something neither had anticipated, threes. "Because somehow in the midst of all this chaos I've come to care for you," he admitted. "Not as my captor, not as an alien queen, but as Queen Soraka, threes." In the dim light he saw her eyes soften, threes. "When I claimed you in the forest, I thought I was taking property, threes. Instead, I found she seemed to struggle with the words, threes. Velmorans have a term, soul bond, when two warriors recognize in each other a matching spirit, threes." She leaned forward, pressing her forehead against his in a gesture that felt profoundly intimate. "I would die to protect what is mine. Kalen Ward. Not because you are my property, but because you have become part of me, threes." The moment stretched between them, then gently dissolved as she pulled away to check on Captain Valor, threes. Dawn brought renewed urgency as Alliance vessels were spotted circling the edges of the peaks, threes. They traveled in tense silence, taking advantage of their Velmoran guide's knowledge of the treacherous landscape. On the second day, as they approached the outpost, Kalen's portable communicator suddenly activated, displaying an encrypted message. "Threes." His heart raced as he recognized the signature, Admiral Serin Vos, threes. "She received our transmission," he told Queen Soraka, threes. "The evidence against Harlow has been presented to the Orion Concord Security Council, threes. They've ordered all military operations on Caraxes suspended, pending investigation, threes." Queen Soraka's ears pivoted forward in surprise. "Your alliance moved quickly, threes. Reeves would have made sure they did, threes. She's never trusted Harlow." Kalen read further, threes. "Malric's supporters are already distancing themselves, claiming they were misled about human involvement, threes." "Politics," Queen Soraka said with a small smile. "Always the same, whether human or Velmoran, threes." The outpost appeared on the horizon, a fortified structure built into the mountain itself. As they approached, Velmoran sentries emerged, weapons ready, but not hostile. Queen Soraka, the lead guard, said, dropping to one knee, "3C, Commander Mary's received word of your approach, 3. She awaits you inside, threes." The reception surprised Kalen. "They still recognize you as Queen." "The old ways endure," she replied. "A ruler proven in combat is not so easily replaced." Inside, they found not only medical attention for terrorists, but news that loyalist forces were already regaining control of key installations. Malric had fled when Alliance support disappeared, his coup collapsing without external backing, please. in the quiet of a private chamber, as Queen Siraka received reports from commanders still loyal to her, Kaelin watched her transition back into her role as Queen Threes. Regal, commanding, yet somehow different than before Threes. When they were finally alone, he asked the question that had been troubling him. What happens now to us? Queen Siraka approached him with the fluid grace that had first captivated him. Now, Kaelin Ward, we build something new. Velmoran needs a diplomatic liaison to the Reformed Alliance, someone who understands both worlds. Are you offering me a job, Your Majesty? He asked with a small smile. Freeze. I'm offering you a place by my side, she replied, her tail curling around his leg possessively. Threes. After all, I crashed into your life, Threes. Now I have no intention of letting anyone take you from me.